Hi guys, welcome to another session of sculpting with me. I'm Leland. Today we're going to start out with this character. We just have a base mesh, one of the ones that's automatically loaded into ZBrush. You can find this in the Lightbox under the project and 3D printing. They got all these different miniatures. I find them to be a really good base to start from. It gives you a basic, if it's a human or if it's something humanoid. Something easy to start from and then go from there. What we're going to work on is a fan art inspired by the work of John Kovalik. I hope I'm saying the name right. If I'm not, then sorry. But anyway, so we're going to start off with, and the fun part about doing this, by the way, is the geometry is really, really low, but it's nice that you can subdivide up and start sculpting into it. So we are going to start into this. First thing we want to do is sculpt in all of our major landmarks. So because it's going to be more of a beastie guy, I like, by the way, I personally, when I'm putting in muscles, like to do the clay buildup, but I like to not have an alpha on it. I find it really helps. And again, I kind of juggle between subdivision 3 and subdivision 2. I do 3 for sculpting because it gives me a better look at what it's going to look like and how much build is already there or not. But going down makes it faster, smooth, so I'll kind of bounce between the two while I'm blocking in. It's kind of my personal taste. Blocking the collarbone. And again, this is going to get covered up because the person is wearing armor, but in case something is being seen, it helps to have. And I have my reference up on the other page also, which, like I said in previous videos, have your reference up. It's only going to help you. So we want to, the reference has kind of an angular jaw. But again, because this is, if you're doing a fan art, you want it as close to it as you can, but if you have a different look that feels more true to the character or tells a story, angular jaw, long face, all those can tell a story about who a character is. Let's sculpt that here, and then we're just going to pull out the nose. And because this is going to be a 75 millimeter miniature, that'll be available in my shop. So because of that, I already got it sized up to 75 millimeters. And again, the more you do stuff for printing, you kind of get a better feel for what needs to be sculpted to what level, what is going to be seen, what is not. So yeah, that nose works for right now. And again, right now we're just mostly doing landmarks. So blocking the temples and square off the forehead just a little bit. And the fun part about this one is it's doing a different kind of style. So John Kovalik has a very cartoony style. I don't. So I get to kind of go as nutty as I want. Okay, and I don't like this sticking out as far. It just feels funny. So we're going to pull that in. Nice. Now, one of my favorite things to do is go over here to the body parts, find the ear, make sure you have symmetry on, and then at this point I would just delete lower. Okay, I've got what I need, but then you can take the ear and you can just place it in where it needs to go super fast. These ones are sticking out too much, so all that I need to do is slide this to the point that I want, and then I can lean that back. Oops. Now I also don't need this base on there, so I'm going to go ahead and hide that. It's another thing that will help is anytime you are working on a sculpt, if you have other tools active that you don't need, just hide them. If they're not helping, they're just getting in the way. So yeah. So you can see that it has the basic landmarks of the ear, so I'm going to need to pull. So first of all, we want this to go here. I'm going to need to pull the other stuff in so it keeps all that geometry in there. And besides this point, would be a hole in the ear, so might as well sculpt that in. But you still want to keep watertight mesh in mind, because otherwise you're going to have bigger problems later on when you're trying to get the mesh to be watertight. So it's something that can be fixed. It's something that can be changed and done, but I found it helps save so much time and headache if you at least have that bouncing around in the back of your mind. So yeah, there we go. So we got the ears pretty much done. I just want to tweak this part one right there and bring this out. And a lot of that's because the character's kind of nerdy with some bigger ears, so I want to kind of bring those ears out and pull this in just a little bit so that we can push this in. There we go. So that fast, we got our ears in, and you could do the same for lips and nose. In fact, let's put our lips in there. We'll do this one. Now, if you have symmetry on, it helps because you can find your center and then draw the lips out. However, the catch with that is that if you are off center, and they always pull up off of the mesh a little bit, if you are off center, then it's going to make you have these two lips and it's going to look really goofy. So watch for that. Now again, I just pull this back to get the geometry where I need it. Get the mesh to look where I need it, the model, the sculpt, however you want to phrase it. The same thing. So this is sitting off. You can see kind of where the different lines are. So what I need to do is make all that match. Nice. And then from that point, okay, you can see it's got the different groups. So now I can unmask that. Click off symmetry, go here, and I can do either remesh by dynamesh or remesh by union. I want to go ahead and dynamesh this because I just have my landmarks in, and then I can start at a low level once again. So I pull that up, and that fast. Okay, I have it done to where it has all the landmarks in it, and I can start just sculpting. Okay, that is my favorite way to go about it. And now let's start on the face. Even though this is going to be watertight, I like to have the eyes as eyeballs. And what I will do is I will get those placed exactly how I want. Divide them up. Delete lower because I want those smooth, and I'll actually go in and add a material to the eyes. So I fill the object. Now that object, now the eyes are going to have so it filled in the whole thing. So what I want to do is I want to mask this again. Split unmasked. Okay, so now that I have this, I can do the eyeballs again. And then now we can switch it back. So again, that's something that you want to kind of watch out for. Sometimes you'll click a material. Anyway, So that has the eyes in place, and now we can start sculpting in all that stuff. This is where it gets fun because it's literally just sculpting. Ooh, but you see how much geometry that is? I don't like that. That is not what I want. So we're going to come back down here. And we're going to actually bust this down. There we go, that's much better. So you can see that I lost some details, but we're, drastically down. You want to watch for that. And you want to do the reverse when you're getting your higher details done, but we will see if we get to there. So, sculpt that, smooth that. And again, the reason why you want to keep lower geometry is it's just faster for smoothing and blocking details, I have found. Okay, so we got that angled face. Nice. Now let's get the cheeks in there. I always like to personally think about what does the skull look like? What is it might be a little dark, but if this character was dead and didn't have any of his flesh on, what would we be looking at? Okay, and that way I know, the kind of orbital sockets that we want to put in there, just all the shapes. And of course that only goes so far because you got, the facial muscles to where you want to think about, okay, well what about the muscles on the face? We got this nose, it's got kind of a rounder nose, so we're going to bulbous the nose a little bit. And something else I like to do is I like to just take the damn standard brush and kind of block in those details with carving so that I can keep going with it. Nostril points. Actually looks pretty darn good. Okay. And now if this is acting kind of wonky, so check the position, X is off. So you go ahead and move that back. And then delete lower, mirror and meld. There, that's much better. Okay. And I could have just done a local symmetry on for it and it would have held just the same, but I want a good mirror of this. Okay, so now we're going to take our eyes and actually put them in the face so we can get the eyelids. And there's, again, several ways to do this. I'll show you one of my favorites. Because this is going to be a miniature. Now, if you were going to be doing, if you were going to be doing a something just for rendering, that's one thing. But if you're doing something for a miniature, eyelids will not show up at a certain level. So if this was a 32 millimeter, I would just want to get more of an eye shape out of it and leave it because it's not going to show up. So for all you sculpting minis out there, keep that in mind. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of headache. But because this is a 75 millimeter, and again, I can go as nutty as I want and just scale it accordingly because details will get lost. So if you do want to do multiple sizes of something, that's something else you can keep on. But because that's going to be the case, I want to take the eye itself and I'm going to sculpt the eyelids onto the eye. It already has the shape that we want, and it's a real simple way to do this. As you go here, sculpt how you want your eyelid. Think of how the eyelid's going to sit on the shape. And you can totally, it does help to go to opacity. And again, I have a hotkey for it, but it's just putting this on. Seeing if anyone's commenting on, the creation stuff. Okay, so I got the eyelids basically blocked in. So now, real simple. Click on it, go centered, and then you just control and pull. Okay? Now keep in mind, this is just blocking in the eyelids. It's not the end all be all, okay? You can see that it gives us our basic shape, and it was really fast. So now we just need to blend the eyelid shape with the rest of the face, the actual face. At that point, I want to turn that off. And you totally can change the material if you need to for that so that it looks more uniform. It is up to you. Now, if you look at people's eyelids, I want this up here. Funny thing that took me a while to find out is wherever you have a gizmo, when you do an alt and scrolling in and out, that's where it's going to focus on. So if you are having a hard time focusing, look at where your gizmo is at and kind of adjust accordingly. Anyway, so if you look at the eyelid's going to sink into the face, and that's where this method that we did is going to be way more effective. Now another thing I could do, because I'm just kind of sculpting this, put Sculptris Pro on. For all of you that have the newer versions that have this, it's so wonderful. Makes things so fast. And just kind of sculpt in how those eyelids are going to sit. Okay, and again, we have this part right here where it goes into the eyelid that we already sculpted onto. And I love this /2 brush. Okay, this /2 right here. If you don't have it automatically, come up here to the brush palette. It does come with ZBrush, and you can find all these fun brushes in it. So mess around with that and see what you think. Anyway, so I love the slash brush because it will make a nice indent. I don't like how strong that is for having Sculptris Pro on, so I could switch it. I could put Lazy Mouse on to drop that down, or I just change the intensity. And then I pull this until it matches the angle that I want, or at least close to it. As long as it's close, I can fix it when I blend them together, which is towards the end when I'm adding all the details. This, again, is just blocking, so I want to just take and I really like using the lasso. And we'll push this back because we got an eyelid. Pull this over here. And like I said, you just kind of noodle or monkey with it, whichever term you want to use. But you got where the eye sits, and you're having this eyelid sitting on the eye, and you're just kind of blending it to where the face is. Now with the lower eyelid, you can kind of see on mine, it blends. Oh, go to this one. It blends in a lot more. It doesn't sit into the skull as much. So we want to have this not as drastic, and we can fix that again later. But you want to watch out for it over here, to where I like to take the clay buildup and just start smoothing and putting that in place. And again, just take the slash brush and sculpt that in there. Nice and simple. And pull it into place. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to sit exactly where you want it because, I mean, that's going to get meshed in. And if you're curious what it looks like as far as the eyelids, just turn it off and you can kind of see what the shape is, how that's going. Okay, I don't like how this is pointing out. It looks too much like an inner eye and not like an outer because that needs to wrap all the way around the eye and sit like that. So I'm going to pull this way. you go. And just like that, we've got our eyelids put in a fairly accurate place of where we want them. There's still more work to do, but it's a fast, easy way to get that block in done for it. Now, as far as for this one, depends again how heavy do you want this upper eyelid to sit in there. I find having that deeper curve is something that will show up on a larger miniature like this, so why not put it in? And it comes down to your style. What are you trying to convey? Do you want it as true to the cartoony look? Do you want it a little more realistic? It's just, what do you think? Okay, and then I really try hard. Let it autosave. I really like to come through with the smooth and kind of get uniform geometry as much as I can, which is also why I do a lot of the dynameshing. So yeah, I was just barely looking at my eyes. When they look this good, why not? Okay. Take a look at the reference, see what it looks like. Yeah. So we're going to bring this in. Okay, and I don't know the clinical term for it, but wherever the muscle, the tear duct, sits over here, that's something that you want to add because it is a pretty big landmark. So I am going to first, get it at the right angle with the eye. That will work. And same thing with the lower one. Get that to work. Clay buildup is a fast way to kind of push and pull stuff and get things set and where they need to go. Oops. Hit the wrong letter. Okay. So with these eyes, I actually want to dynamesh and see if I can get that a little more smooth out. I mean, I could just divide up, but that's not going to help with this weird geometry here from me pulling it out. So a much faster solution is just go to Dynamesh, adjust accordingly. And then go through and tweak and smooth. Make sure there's no mask on. Just like that. And then just for my personal, I'm going to turn lazy mouse on with this, but I'm also going to increase the intensity to 30. And I am going to pull along the eye. So that really looks like, and this is going to help with printing, not just visually, but actually with the data. Smooth this out right here. With the model and how it's read by the slicing software. There we go. Sweet. So it just helps it to where it looks like it is sitting on the eyelid, or the eyelid sitting on the eyeball. And again, here's another way to do it: is simply, instead of dynameshing, just use Sculptris Pro. Take it through so that it you know, breaks up the geometry. That is not. Clicked on the wrong thing. And ZBrush seems to be acting a little funky today, but whatever. Could be me. Leave a comment if you have other methods you like to use for figures and characters and stuff like that. I'm always interested in finding new ways to do something that might be better. Okay. And then what I like to do is go to deformation, polish by features. This just is a fast way to kind of get things smooth and looking accordingly. You can use trim dynamic, you can use the hard surface or hard polish, that's what I like to use, and just kind of get that in place. Cool. So as you can see, the eyes are a little bit far apart. Don't really like that. So what I can do is a real easy way to do it. Just go here, square that up, move the eyes to where I want them, just like that, and then just start moving the rest of this that we sculpt to where we need it. Okay, now I give him kind of little squinty eyes. And so this is where you just kind of mess with it to get your model looking how you want. Okay, so this is not crazy about this, so I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to click on the eye and pull it out as well. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, just kind of pushing and pulling and getting things where you want them to go. You're the creator. Okay. And it's going to be different for every model. You know, if I was making a lizard person, I don't think I would do this the same way. I would do things similar, but there's other ways I would do it. And now we're going to just bring in this little landmark right there. Okay. And fun little tidbit is the mirror. So if I go down here to mirror and weld, that goes off to the left side. So if something's on the left side and I've been focusing only on the right, it's gonna make it look different. So if you plan on mirroring and welding, you might want to flip your model over first. You might want to mirror the geometry over, make sure it's centered. But then you can flip it over and get that in place. Okay, and something else that's interesting is, I don't know about you guys, but I get lost in the details really, really fast. So block in, I gotta watch, because it's very easy for me to start going way crazy with all the stuff. Okay, I want this bit for the jawline. Makes it clear that it's a masculine character. These little tricks, by the way, of like hiding in the features that make something masculine or feminine. It's just an easy way for something small to be read accordingly, just like a hero's jawline, or something more angular and sharp to where it looks more villainous. But by doing that, it kind of changed our face shape, so we want to bring it in so it is more of an angle. Yeah. right here. Bring in the throat. Yeah. Same with the back of the ear right here. Nice. Okay. There we go. So there's our throat blocked in, and because it is a male character, we'll make sure we do the Adam's apple. And you can either sculpt that in, or you can just pull it in place. Dealer's choice. Yeah. Now I need to add in these neck muscles. And of course, how much prominence I want on those depends on what the character's doing. I mean, if they're reaching out of the way like that, they're gonna have more strain. But if they're just natural, then they won't have as much. And something else with the model too is you have to exaggerate things a little bit. And I mean, if this was going to be like a 1/60th scale, so 32 millimeters, then I would have to exaggerate so much more. And this is way too far forward, so I'm going to take the whole thing, pull it back, push this. There we go. Okay, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but I do like to bounce around from face to neck and other stuff. It's just kind of my method. Okay, so we want to bring, I always like to go from the center of the eye, bring it down. Okay, that's where my lips are going to start. Put in a horizontal line for the center of the lips because of how small this is. And then just start sculpting. Now, because we already had our lips in there, boom, there you go. So, alright. Well, we're going to call that right there. Just a quick little video, a quick little tip for you guys. Hope this works for you, and I hope you get out there and I hope you create something. And yeah, look for you in the next video.